Elden Ring is a game that I own, and these are some TTRPG dice. Let's combine the two. The rules are simple. This will be an all Remembrance Boss playthrough, and every decision from which Remembrance Boss I will fight next to what weapon I will fight them with will be determined by the dice. I have made a list of 20 weapons that are obtainable from the very beginning of the game, and I have to use that weapon until the next Remembrance Boss is defeated. Once I do, I replace that weapon with another one on the list, and so on and so forth, until I have beaten all Remembrance Bosses. Speaking of Remembrance Bosses, there are 4 you can fight at the beginning of the game. I will roll a d4 to determine which one to fight, and once I beat that one, any other boss that is unlocked is added to that list of what I can roll. And if you think that isn't challenging enough, every time I level up, I cannot choose which stat to increase. I roll a d8 and I have to go based on what I roll, no matter what. And I can't respec at Renala at any point, not even once. Now that the explanation is out of the way, let's begin. There are 10 starting classes in Elden Ring, and I have a d10, so I roll for what class I start with. I end up starting with the Astrologer, which has decent dex and int. After giving myself an appropriate name, and rolling for my starting item, I begin by dying to the grafted scion in the dumbest way possible, which won't be an ill omen at all. I can defeat the Soldier of Godric for ruins, so that way I can buy the crafting kit, and I begin rolling for my first boss. 1. Godric the Grafted, with 12. The Rose's Axe. Before I grab my weapon and fight Godric, I go to grab Torrent and my first level up. I can then enter Liurnia of the Lakes, and make my way to Black Knife Catacombs. By using the Stone Sword key, I can grab the axe. Unfortunately, I don't meet the int or strength requirements, even two-handed, so I grab the strength crystal tier, and make my way through the underground woods. If I drink the physic, I can have the strength to wield the weapon, and if I grab Marika's Scar Seal, I'll have enough int. I can then kill a Ghiza for some ruins. And defeat Patches so I can purchase Margit's Shackle. As well as a few other things. I can then defeat Margit, so I have access to Stormveil. I can grab a few level ups now. I'm able to level up enough int to wield the weapon, so I don't need the Scar Seal anymore. I still lack strength, however. So to make up for that, I go to Fort Gale and grab the Star Scourge Heirloom. It's enough to let me two-hand the axe, which I take to get leveled up. I can now do 287 damage with it. And I head to go fight Godric. One more thing I've got to add. This isn't optional for you in case you want to try this challenge, but for each Remembrance boss, I roll a d4 to determine what I'm allowed to use to help me. It could be a consumable, spirit summons, incantations, or a dealer's choice. I'm not allowed to use incantations that strictly do damage, but if there's one that does damage but applies a status effect or debuff, those are game. You also don't have to abide by this rule, and even if you do roll something like a spirit summons, you don't have to use a spirit summons during the fight. For this fight, I actually rolled spirit summons, but I honestly don't need them, seeing as Godric is really easy and also fun to fight without them. Anyways, after Godric spams the same move over and over again, I can knock him into phase 2. He goes down like a wet paper towel, however. Because of it, I can grab 3 random level ups before choosing the next boss. 3. Renala. With 16. The Commander Standard. I go to grab the weapon first, which goes about how you would expect. After kiting him through the geysers, however, I can whittle down his health and eventually kill him, which gets me the weapon. Unfortunately, even with the Star Scourge heirloom, I can't two-hand it, and I don't want to rely on the strength tier as it only lasts for 3 minutes, and Renala can be a rather long fight. This really leaves me with another option, however. I head to grab Radagon's Sword Seal, which will let me wield the weapon two-handed with the Scar Scourge heirloom. I spent some time farming from ruins for level ups, so that way I can upgrade my weapon to +4. After getting myself to level 33, I can grab some flask upgrades, as well as the key, and enter Raya Lucaria. I make my way through the academy and past the Red Wolf when Moongrum informed me I'm not at level for this area yet. I ignored this warning and pressed on. Renala's first phase was nothing special. I was slow and 3-cycled her, but she still goes down regardless. Her second phase was a bit more challenging, and she even managed to kill me once during it. However, most of her spells can be avoided by running, so I'm able to take her out afterwards on my second try. I am able to get 5 level ups afterwards. Now that there are 2 shard bearers defeated, Morga is added to the boss pool. Speaking of, it's time to roll. 1. Mohg, Lord of Blood. Oh, no. Mohg is a high-level endgame boss, and I have to fight him as my 3rd remembrance boss. I'm level 40. 7. The Moonveil Katana. I can work with this. In case you're wondering how I can fight Mohg right now, if you complete Vari's quest, which can be done offline, I can gain access to the Mogwin Dynasty and fight Mohg from there. First, I have to get my way to Moonveil by making my way through Gale Tunnel without dying. I beat the Magma Worm for the Moonveil. And grind ruins like hell for level ups. I need to be as high of a level as I can if I want to get Mohg. I grabbed the 3rd talisman pouch. as well as more flask upgrades. I decided to roll for what I'm going to use for the boss fight right now, and I rolled a 2, so I can use spirit summons. I decided to go with Lynetta. I figured her long range can safely damage Moog and prevent his stance from recovering. I grabbed the magic shrouding cracked tier. I can then grab both halves of the Dectus medallion. This will let me get to Atlas Plateau to continue Vari's quest. I can kill the NPC and grab the Maiden's blood. From there, I can finally get the item that'll send me to Mogwin Dynasty. But before I head there are a few things I need to grab first. I take some time to grab Somber Smithing Stones 5, 6, 8, and 9 before heading for the capital. And now, every Soulsborne game experience, bashing your head against a wall until either it breaks or you do. After I get to the capital, I'm finally able to upgrade my strength to double digits. Now, you might be wondering why I'm even in the capital at this moment. Moog of Blood isn't here, but there are a few things that I want to get first. You see, by challenging Gold Godfrey right now, I can beat him and get my 4th talisman pouch. This way I can equip the maximum amount of talismans I can for Moog. I'm also get enough strength to be able to one-hand my katana. And I take this time to make a detour to grab the Bolt of Grandsax. After defeating Renala, it went on my list of weapons I can roll, and it goes away if I make too much progression, so I decide now to grab it. I can then jump down a well and into the sewers. From here, I can grab a Smithing Stone 7, as well as Moog's Shackle. After a really close call, I can make my way to Sewer Moog. Now, you might be wondering why I'm even going for Sewer Moog in the first place. It's Moog Lord of Blood that I need to fight. Well, there are 2 reasons. The first reason is practice. The second reason, however, is by beating him, I can get not only a lot of ruins, which I can get more level ups to help me fight Moog Lord of Blood. But also, I'm able to grab the Erdtree Favor +1 talisman. I need as much health as I can for this fight, and my dice aren't letting me level up bigger as I would want. I still need health, so I end up grabbing the Cerulean Amber Medallion. I can then head to the Sancted Hero's grave, where I can grab the Dragon Crest Shield Medallion by entering this fog gate here. I can then enter Dragon Burrow Cave, where I can get the Bull's Goat Talisman, but for now, I can also grab the Flame Drink Talisman +2. Moog's Blood Flame attacks do fire damage, and I have little health, so every bit counts. I now spend some time farming for proper armor, and end up settling on the Banished Knight set. I'm not able to wear the pants just yet because carry weight issues, but at the end I have 41 physical negation and 39 fire. I spent some time grabbing some upgrade materials for Latenia. Before heading to the Mogwin Dynasty, where I can grab the last upgrade materials for her. And increase her level to +10. It was at this point in the game when I discovered I can't get the Purifying Crack tier. Apparently it's locked behind a quest line I have never done. I've always fought Moog after I get to the mountaintops, so I didn't even know this fact. Without knowing how to do the quest line, I'm kinda stuck fighting Moog without it. I can then grab the final smithing stone upgrade for the Moon Veil.
Don't pay me, just lay out.
I'm able to increase it to +10, where it does 547 damage. I mix my physic, and I'm now level 77, which is under-leveled for challenging Moog, but ultimately a lot higher than what I was before. Naturally, this fight took several tries. His boss room is actually perfect for Latenia, with it being long, and I'm able to summon her at the entrance for her to snipe him. I move to the middle, where I can use the shackle to knock him down, and work on stance breaking him. Stance breaks are the name of the game for this fight, as it provides good damage and some recovery time. You might be wondering why I'm not speccing specifically around bleed. You see, if you or Moog bleeds, Moog's attacks get stronger. Yeah. Moog gets tired of Latenia whittling down his health and decides to attack her. But she acts as great distraction for me to recover long enough to get my bleed bar down and issue the final blow. Afterwards, I can get not one, not two, but 13 level ups. After Moog, it's time for the next boss. Morgott. With 8. The Giant's Crusher. Lucky for me, I grabbed the Giant's Crusher earlier when I was grabbing flask upgrades. Unfortunately, I accidentally deleted the footage of me getting it. Even more unfortunately, it's really heavy, and I can't wield it properly. Even with the Star Scourge Heirloom, Redigon's Score Seal, and the Physic, I don't meet the requirements to even two-hand it. There are 2 options I have to help though, so I decided to go with the easier one. If I activate Godric's Great Ruin, I can increase all my attributes by 5, which is just enough to wield the weapon. I can then grab the Smithing Stone Bell Bearings 1, and 2.
No matter to lay out your own.
I can then take the weapon over to get upgraded to plus 12, where it can do 495 damage. I head back to Fort Gale to get the Lion's Claw Ash of War, and place the heavy affinity on it. I grab the Omen Smirk Mask to further increase my strength, and go to fight Morgott. After a little mistake, I can get 3 level ups and roll for the next boss. 4. Rykard. Rykard is in the same boat as Moog, where he's meant to be an endgame boss. Luckily, after all the levels I gained from Moog, making Rykard actually reasonably challenging at this point. Now, you might be wondering which weapon I'm going to be using for Rykard. The Serpent Hunter. Honestly, Rykard is a gimmick boss, and I honestly do not care. Sure, other content creators have beaten him with other weapons before, but they either gave themselves a max level, or fought for days with a min-max build, something I can't. After a few Crimson Flasks, and some L2 spams later, I can beat the first phase. I can then use up the rest of my Crimson Flasks and more L2 spamming in order to beat the second phase. It's not really the best footage, but still. I'm able to get 3 level ups afterwards and roll for my next boss. 1. Fire Giant. With 2. The Sword of Night and Flame. I actually managed to grab the weapon a bit earlier when I was going through Carrier Manor for supplies. I then spend the rest of my time gathering the rest of the flask upgrades from below mountaintops of the giants. I can enter mountaintops of the giants with the medallion, and I then grab the Okina mask, which will come in really handy much later on in the playthrough. I can then grab the rest of the flask upgrades I need from mountaintop so I can have maximum flasks, both charges and healing. I rolled a 4 on my help dice, and I decided to go with spirit summons and incantations, so I go and pick up Rot Breath. I start the fight with the Physic and summoning Lynetta at the entrance. Once again, she can hit from very far away and do some decent chip damage, both health-wise and stance-wise. I can break the boss's leg as well as phase transition him easily. I'm not gonna lie to you, I cut out 10 minutes of phase 2. It was basically just me baiting out these specific attacks so that way I can attack with the Ash of War, but like, a Fire Giant phase 2 is always annoying. I'm able to get 2 level ups, but before rolling for my next boss, I actually spent some time grinding for ruins. As you can imagine, once again my health is very low, and I want to try and increase that as much as possible. Afterwards though, I can begin rolling for my next boss. 2. Radon. Finally! I like to tackle Radon very early on, and I have not been able to fight him up until now. What weapon do I get to fight him with? 11. Radulva. Okay. I actually grabbed this very early on in the playthrough, before I went to grab or got Shackle from Patches. After getting the Smithing Stone Bell Bearing 2, I'm able to upgrade it to +6. I can do 229 damage with it. I also decided to begin Ronnie's questline to gain access to a lot of good things after Radon. I rolled a 2 on my help dice, and even though I can't summon spirit summons, Radon's rune has a lot of summoning signs, so I can use those, however I chose not to, because I felt like at this point I didn't even need it. This fight was honestly the same as Rykard, as just L2 spam. The range of the weapon is so small that just spamming R1 you won't be able to hit him normally, so I'm able to get 1 singular level up. Just run. Radon does unlock a lot of new bosses though, so that's really great for me. So let's see what I can get. 5. Placiduous Axe. With 16. The Bolt of Grandsax. Would you believe me if I said I fought this boss with this weapon before? The Bolt of Grandsax requires 40 dex to wield. I have 24. Radagon's Scar Seal can increase that up to 29, but I'm still down by 11. So, in order to cover up those, I head over to do Millicent's quest. This way I can get a talisman that increases my dex by 5 for helping Millicent. And if I give her the Valkyrie's prosthesis, and defeat the Godskin Apostle, I'm able to do something unthinkable. By killing Millicent here, I can harvest Millicent's prosthesis. It is another talisman that increases my dex by 5. That's only 39, but with the Okina's mask that I grabbed earlier, that can get my dex up to 42. And I'm now able to wield the weapon properly. I end up taking a detour to the underground to grab a few things. I can kill Mimic Tier. And I found out that this weapon is really good to take care of the silver tiers in this part of the game. I can grab the Finger Slayer Blade. And give it to Rani.
Not blood. Even in my... It is in my thanks soon.
I can then go to Sophia River. Now, some of you might be wondering why I am here now. See, I rolled a 1 on my help dice, so I'm able to use consumables. I decided to grab the recipe for rot pots, which is found here, thinking that they might actually help with Placidusax. They actually didn't, sadly. I can, however, grab Mimic Tier. After burning the Erd Tree, I can get into Farum Azula and level up Mimic Tier to +10 for some later fights. I'm able to get one more level up that goes into Dex, so I no longer need to wear the Oakiness mask to wield the weapon. Just in time for Godskin Duo. How could this go wrong? And now, time for every Soulsborne experience. What the f was that? I call bullshit. That was my last sleep pot too. You think that's it? Wait to see what happened when I did beat the boss. Placidusax took a lot of time to beat, and a lot of prep. I tried with different strategies and talismans before finally beating him. Using a Ruin Arc, Godric's Ruin, I'm able to focus on poise breaking him for his first phase to do my damage. I then stayed back during phase 2 and just spammed the Ash of War. With its long range, I'm able to hit him. However, he has a tendency to teleport around, usually right before I'm able to hit him, which is rather annoying. But after some good RNG, I can finally take him down. I can get 3 level ups from him and roll for my next boss. 4. Blitz Dragon Fortisax. With 14. Ghiza's Wheel. To get the weapon, I need to go to Volcano Manor, where I can fight what is possibly the hardest invader in the game. How I survived, I have no idea. After defeating the invader, I can get the Ghiza's Wheel. It is rather heavy, so I need some lighter armor for it. I go to grab the Curse Brand, and head down the path of the sewers. After half an hour of platforming hell, I can make it into Deep Root Depths. From here, I can get to the boss arena rather easily. I defeat Fia's champions. And challenge Lich Dragon Fortisax. I rolled a 1 on my help dice, but his resistances are a bit high, and it honestly doesn't matter for this fight. Thanks to his wide range of attacks and his lightning effect, I'm only able to get in one hit at a time. Because of that and his high resistances, I'm only able to get one bleed proc throughout this entire fight. And it's only at the end. After beating him, however, I can get one level up and move on to the next boss, which is 1. Malekith with 11. The Dragonscale Blade. I grab the weapon from the Lake of Rot. And after leveling it up to +9, I head for Malekith. Oh boy, I hope that this fight is fair. My lack of health is really starting to show. I rolled a 4 on the help dice, and I decided to summon Mimic Tear for phase 1. After the phase transition is where things get serious. I need Mimic Tear to have just enough health to be a solid distraction in order for me to get Rot Breath off. After that, I just have to play my cards right, carefully plan each attack and dodge, and, well, I just ran away and healed. I didn't want to crutch on Rot Breath, to be honest, but I do not have this boss's patterns fully memorized, or the health to learn. Takes about 10 tries to finally get a run where Mimic Tear survives to the second phase, but a win is a win, I guess. I can then grab 2 level ups, and begin rolling for my next boss. 4. Estelle with 17. The Iron Balls. I actually grabbed the weapon earlier in the run, so I don't need to get it now. I do, however, go to Caelid so I can grab the Cracked Blade Ash of War. I can then head down to Estelle. Honestly, I'm very overpowered for Estelle at this point, and this weapon is known to be broken strong. there's really not much to say about this fight other than I punched him and he died. With Estelle out of the way, I can get one level up and roll for my next boss. 1. Horalu with 9. The Black Knife. I grabbed this weapon earlier in the run, yet again, and I have actually fought this boss with this weapon before. So I know that it is going to be a pain. Now is the time for several upgrades, so I decided to grab the Erdtree Favor +2 and the Crimson Amber +2 to cover for the health that I lack. Me and Mimic Tear can bully Gideon,
A tarnished cannot become a lord. Not even you. A man cannot kill a god.
and then we can move on to Horalu. This boss is so cool. I hope the fight goes fairly. I hate monologuing bosses now. I rolled another 4 on my help die, and believe it or not, but Mimic Tear isn't the best summons for this fight. Lynetta is. Because Mimic Tear's health scales off of yours, and mine is abysmal, Lynetta does much more by whittling down his health from afar. I buffed myself outside the boss room. And summoned Lynetta at the entrance. I spammed the Ash of War to do some damage over time, and to knock him down and enter the second phase. All of my previous attempts with Horalu, he would kill Atinya, but I would be able to get Rot off. But this time, it actually takes a lot of time to get off Rot, and I don't know why. And much like Malekith, once I do get off Rot, I kinda have to crutch on it, unfortunately. One hit is enough to kill me, and he was a fan of AoEs the entire fight, so I spent most of the time dodging and running.
Brave, tarnished. Thy strength befits the crown.
Afterwards, I can get 3 more level ups and roll for my next boss. And roll for the next boss. 2. Regal Ancestor Spirit with 12. The Dragon Greatclaw. Okay, despite the fact that I'm over leveled for this fight, it was actually the hardest, even with Mimic Tear. So I'm going to show you the full fight as proof. I start by summoning Mimic Tear, but unfortunately they don't last long. After closing the distance, the boss gets their first attack off, and it's all downhill from here. The boss teleports elsewhere, and that is when the onslaught of attacks ensues. Like, look at this. How do I even avoid that attack? And here I get hit so hard you can't even see my health. This attack. I don't even know how I survived it. I am, however, so lucky that the trade-off went off in my favor. Otherwise, I would have had to skip this boss. But with that, the boss goes down. Now all I have is just 2 bosses left. Two, Elden Beast. With 2, Aroace Tree. I got this weapon earlier, but forgot to keep the footage. It's found down in deep root depths, however, and it is heavy. I upgraded to plus 10 for this fight, and grabbed 2 very good defense talismans to help. Unfortunately, Mimic Tear does not have the health for this fight, so I'm gonna need something stronger. I go and grab Black Knife Tish. And upgrade her to plus 10. I rolled another 4 on my help dice, so I can use anything. I start by summoning Tish and getting Rod off. Radagon is the harder of the 2 for me, but luckily I get a run where he goes down pretty fast. Now for the Elden Beast. I have a good start going, but unfortunately Tish dies about 1/4 of the way in. The Elden Beast is the easier fights for me of the 2, so I am rather lucky, and after just a few tries with the Elden Beast, I can finish off this fight in a rather epic way. This weapon is actually really good even though it does some holy damage. With that, I can get 4 level ups, and there is only 1 boss left. I only have to roll for the weapon this time. 19. Eleanor's Pole Blade. I'm lucky to not only get Melania for last, but also a weapon that seems like it would be pretty decent against her. I start by grabbing the weapon from Atlas Plateau. Side note, I use the Elden Remembrance for the sword so that I can grind for ruins if need be. I can defeat Commander Nail, grab the second half of the medallion. This way I can get to the consecrated snowfield, where I can grab the last ancient dragon somber smithing stone, and get my weapon up to plus 10. The last plus 10 weapon of the run. I messed up Alexander's questline, so I end up having to grab the Warrior's Jar Shard to boost my Ash of War damage.
I see it. Humans
I head to the Halic tree. And defeat Loretta. I decided to grab the Thorny Cracked here. And the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman for the fight, as both of them will be very useful here. I grab the Grace outside of the boss arena, but I don't enter just yet. I need a few things first. I grab the Fraught Pot recipe, and farm for some ruin shards. I said to use Mohg's Great Ruin for this fight. If I or the summons cause bleed, which both me and Mimic Tear can do with this weapon, Mimic Tear will become even more aggressive and do more damage. I then spend the time farming for several levels. I only have 26 vitality and I really want more health for this boss. I managed to grow to level 162, but only gained 5 levels of vitality, but it's enough to get me over 1000. This fight took a few tries, but less than some of the other bosses, believe it or not. I rolled a 4 on the help dice, decided to use Mimic Tear, as well as some incantations. The first phase was actually pretty easy. All I would do is spam L2, and me and Mimic Tear could defeat her without much resistance. Phase 2 is where the real Malenia comes out. I decided to use Black Flame to damage her during Scarlet Aeonia. Technically, the Black Flame status effect is the status effect, so I'm kind of allowed to use it. It's up to interpretation, honestly. Mimic Tear dies halfway through because of their AI leap. This leaves me alone. The last few hits were close. But after one more Scarlet Aeonia, I am able to defeat her and end the run. Overall, I'm really happy how this run went. I got to fight bosses I wouldn't at a level where I was not supposed to, using weapons I had never used before, with no health at all. I would love to do it again, and I would recommend you give it a try yourself. You can use my weapon list, or even make your own, adding spells to it even if you wanted to. I'm honestly lucky with the weapons that I got, as I could have been forced to fight the Elden Beast with the Cypher Pata, if I was unlucky. I hope you all enjoyed this video, as it took a lot of time to make.
Well then.
I lost my internet for over a month and made this video as I waited for it to get fixed. As of now, I am doing a Remembrance Boss weapon only run, where upon defeating the next Remembrance Boss, I have to use what that Remembrance Boss gives you to defeat the next one. That's being streamed over on my Twitch every Saturday from 8 PM to 12 AM AKDT. I hope to see you all there, and have a great day.